And there's no irony. Interesting magical experience.
Iconic moment. The best send-off.
The Wrath of Khan is one of those, it was a pointless movie.
It makes you just feel.
Hate. Death? That's not a fucking story.
He knows best. Alright, Earthlings, welcome back to the Thundering Dice channel with your boys, the Thundering Dice Brothers. And today, as promised in our game stream, if you watched it, we are going to reveal to you, no, I'm sorry, Ian is going to try to persuade all of us that he knows best, that the worst thing that Star Trek ever did was resurrecting Spock in The Search for Spock.
And there's no irony right now because, like, my brother couldn't say that without bursting into laughter. But it's 100% true, everyone. The worst thing that Star Trek ever did was resurrect Spock. There are multiple reasons. I'll give you the personal reason, my first personal reason. As a storyteller, I really, really hate deaths that are super impactful to the story that get erased because the character gets resurrected for no good reason. Now, there are plenty of characters in other shows who do get resurrected, or in books and things like that, that work. A couple examples. Gandalf getting resurrected in Lord of the Rings, awesome. Has a reason to happen, has a higher power that makes it happen, and is super impactful to the story. Excellent. Another one, Game of Thrones. Jon Snow and Beric Dondarrion. They both get resurrected after, well, one of them dies only once, the other one dies multiple times and keeps getting resurrected because they are both very integral players in the Long Night against the Night King. So, you have a reason why it happens. You have an interesting magical experience, well, a magical device about how it happens, and it's impactful to the story. It's all great. Now, Spock has the most epic death at the end of Wrath of Khan.
You cannot deny that death is maybe the best send-off for a character. I mean, it makes you just feel the death itself,
yep.
his sacrifice, and of course Shatner's delivery of his,
of all the souls I have encountered, his was the most human.
Of my friend, I can only say this. Of all the souls I have encountered in my travels, his was the most human.
Pretty awesome. It was a very iconic moment in Star Trek, so a great proper send-off to Spock.
Yeah.
And it made the entire movie so much more bittersweet. Like, they triumphed, but at what cost? And how do you move forward from this? And where does the Enterprise go? And then, well...
Yeah, exactly. It ruins all the growth that happens after a death. And I mean, it's made slightly even more egregious because they resurrect him after the Wrath of Khan. Because, like, the Wrath of Khan is one of those really great movies because it's, I mean, beyond just the fact that it's a really great movie, it's a tie-in directly to the original show with one of their chief villains in their episodic run, Khan. That episode, like the Space Seed, is laced with danger. And the fact that people don't actually die in the Space Seed is kind of a miracle. Like, Kirk is put into a hyperbaric chamber and squeezed of oxygen to force the crew into...
That'd be a hypo.
To force the crew to help Khan steal the Enterprise and, do what he wants to do. So then you get the movie and everything that accompanies with it and as the death and stuff like that. And it's a really great tie-in. It brings everything, it brings Spock's story to a perfect close.
The needs of the many outweigh
The needs of the few.
or the one.
And still allows the Enterprise to have more missions later on if they want, but you just have to deal with that death in the way that you would expect.
Life goes on.
Yeah, life
Star Trek goes
on.
on. You honor his memory and you move on. And, there is even an in-universe MacGuffin you could use too with the Katras, Like, it's total, like, spiritual nonsense. And they really didn't explore it until Enterprise. But, climb the steps of Mount Seleia and pick up the Katra. And it's his essence, his soul, and all that was him. You could have I don't know, done something with that and put it into some other Vulcan and had that Vulcan have a story. That could have been interesting or weird, or you could have just had him die and let it go and get a new science officer, and the next episode is a new adventure. And
no, yeah, exactly. That's all you needed to do. You learn the lesson of MASH. You kill off a character, you don't resurrect them.
That's a great point.
And you bring someone who is completely different with their own story of themselves, and you let the characters who you've already known for so long interact with the new person. You don't need to bring back the old familiar character that you just killed off. And then the second reason why I really, really, really hate the fact that Spock is brought back is because the studio caved to the pressure of the idiot fans. I mean, I'm sorry, like, it was the stupidest thing, that letter campaign that was organized to like, no, you have to bring Spock back. Why? What is so fucking wrong with losing one of your main characters? What hubris gives you the right to say, nah, I know better than the storytellers who are actually trying to tell this story, and I'm so emotionally attached to this one character, I'm going to ruin basically everything about that character, and especially about his death and the impactful emotional clusterfuck that should have followed afterwards. But no, they caved to the pressure, like, oh, you know what? I'm going to do this. It's like, oh!
Well, the fun thing is about the movie, you kind of got all of that, and Spock is basically not in it except for horny teenage Spock, which is just an interesting detail they decided to include. He shares a bond with Saavik now that, they will cherish forever, I'm sure. But beyond that, all right, he came back. He got to direct, so that was one of the stipulations.
That's one thing I really do. I like.
I get that. The entire first act of the movie is actually about them trying to deal with the emotional fallout and the grieving process, and where do we go from here?
Yeah, but it's called The Search for Spock.
Right? Okay, yeah. That's they should have called it Genesis or something, honestly, like, at least they don't give away the whole plot. Star Trek's really bad about that too, like the voyage home. I wonder what they're going.
The Wrath of Khan. I wonder what that's about.
The Undiscovered Country. Actually,
that's a better
good
one.
Title.
Yeah, because it's intrigue, and you're like, what is this undiscovered country? I'm kind of curious. I have no idea. Is it like a new frontier? I mean, is it the 10th
Star
dimension?
Trek: The Final Frontier. Not a bad title.
No, that's a pretty good one too. Yeah.
What does God need with a starship?
Anyway, we've diverged, but so the Search for Spock, like, I think there's a lot of great things in that movie, aside from the part that Spock being resurrected. So, I do agree that resurrecting a character for the sake of the resurrection, not for the sake of the story, does cheapen the death. It actually makes that the end of the second movie sort of. Imagine if Luke's hand never actually got cut off in real life. Like, it turned out that was all a dream. He never actually fought Vader. He never lost his hand. That was just, like, in the cave still.
Yes.
That would have been pointless.
Yeah.
So it's not quite to that level of, like, betrayal of expectation, but I could see why it's irritating from a story perspective, and it does basically just, oh, cool, we get a weird reset for the character, and somehow he has most of the emotions and most of the, like, knowledge, and it's coming back slowly.
Yeah. But to caveat this, just because I don't like the fact that Spock is resurrected doesn't mean I don't like the movie. I'm not, like, condemning the movie at all. I do like the movie. I love David's death. I love the Enterprise.
How about Bones boom, boom. All fucking, like
all
crazy, and
that's really fun.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, that's
trying to give people Vulcan neck pinches and stuff.
I mean, like DeForest Kelley really does pull off he's got crazy eyes when he wants to, and he goes full crazy eyes in those sections. It's really hilarious because it's not like he was given much acting to do in the original show, like emotionally depth. Like, there wasn't like massive depressions and massive highs and things. It was mostly he was a stable dude. So to be able to see
he was just kind of an asshole all the time to Spock.
Oh yeah,
that was sort of his default.
Yeah, like super bullying him for like, oh, your Vulcan emotions and and we're kind of better than you. And I really hate every time you get into command because somehow I'm always going to make sure to think that you did it deliberately to stab Jim in the back. Yeah, or that you're enjoying it.
Like, you're finally in command, aren't you? What you've always dreamt of. And Spock has to look at it and be like, I don't know how many times you've gone over this, Doctor, but it's been like at least a dozen times where I've said, nah, if I wanted command, I'd be in command. I'm older than all you fucks.
Yeah. He even says, I have no desire for command multiple times.
And he doesn't just say that because he never looks for, like, he's promoted to captain and all that good stuff. He could have command of a ship, but he just prefers to do his own thing. And I think he kind of leans towards diplomacy towards the end of his career as opposed to being on a starship, exploring like Sulu did.
Yeah, because I mean, he becomes the ambassador and then goes to Romulus and starts the process of reunification. Now we're really going further afield.
But, okay, so it's really hard for me to agree that it's the worst thing that Star Trek ever did, because we got the rest of those movies, which was excellent. Now, after that, the desire to cling to the old shows, the old original cast in some ways getting tiresome and stale. Much like The Lord of the Rings is going to get tiresome and stale when The Hunt for Gollum comes out. Another analog we're drawing this far afield, but I just think it's going to be overkill. I think we're going to have like, not censory, but like a Lord of the Rings Nia, like when you can't smell anymore, you're on shit. That's what it's going to be like for Lord of the Rings.
I'm going to probably be hypercritical of the movie. I mean, and even if it is really good, I will still open our review video being it was a pointless movie because no one cares about the hunt for Gollum. I mean, like, it's just Aragorn hunting for Gollum, basically, in the wild. That's not a fucking story. I mean, you're going to have to add shit to make it into a larger story.
At least The Search for Spock had an awesome story that involved, like, let's think about all the things.
The Genesis planet.
Let's start it from the beginning. We've got the remorse.
Yes.
And the thought
soul
of,
searching.
Like, the soul searching. You've got Bones going mad, and you think, oh dear, it's really fucking hit him hard. Like, of all people, who would have thought that it hit Bones that hard? Oh, wait, hold on. He's not crazy. He's holding on to Spock's soul, maybe. Let's steal the Enterprise on the off chance that we're right.
Yeah.
All of us are on board with this, right? We're all down just to steal this ship and dip. Word, thumbs up, dope, go. Fucking sabotage the Excelsior.
Yeah.
They can't go after them. So Scotty has his hand in that as well. They go. Then there's the whole Genesis device, the Genesis planet, which is pretty magical. It's not scientific, really. I mean, it's the ultimate terraformer, and I think I like that it had unintended consequences. Like, we don't know what's going to happen, and the unintended consequences, like, okay, cool. The Genesis planet got Spock on it. Now, the Genesis device did some unexpected shit, transformed the planet too fast. Spock's DNA was on there, and it regenerated and turned into Spock again. But it's like an empty husk of Spock. Let's get his Katra back into him on the top of Mount Saleya. So there's a lot of like space magic.
The steps to get him resurrected work in my mind.
And then you got Christopher Lloyd, who was born to play a Klingon on some level, Like, we only get him this one time. And so for that, I'm thankful for The Search for Spock, because we got to have him be all crazy. We got to have Shatner blow up the Enterprise and have that such the iconic moment from Bones. What do you do? What have I done?
My God, Bones. What have I done?
What you had to do. What you always do. Turn death into a fighting chance to live.
What you always do.
Turn death into a chance at life.
Yes, exactly. And then they're inside the Genesis cave. Like, there's so many awesome Star Trek moments that we wouldn't have without The Search for Spock.
I have had enough of you!
Yeah. No,
and so
absolutely.
It's really hard for me to say it's the worst thing they ever did, because it gave us some of the best Star Trek. Like, and the funny thing is, we realized this while we were like sort of bouncing ideas back and forth. The Search for Spock splits the timeline.
It really does.
Like, we think about the Kelvin timeline resetting shit and splitting stuff, but really, the Enterprise and its crew in one timeline went off and did its normal stuff again and replaced Spock and blah, blah, blah.
Never had to go back in time to,
we never
retrieve the
we
whales.
never brought whales forward. The thing with the Klingons would have played out very differently, because it wouldn't have been Spock reaching his hand out and creating a dialogue with Gorkon, who would have had the open-mindedness to do that later on down the road, who would have had the open-mindedness to not only do it with the Klingons, but do it again with the Romulans.
Definitely no one.
So The Search for Spock sets off an entire alternate timeline that changes everything.
Yep. It's the OG split. No one can bitch about the Kelvin timeline screwing up Star Trek, because now, technically,
they
Spock
started
killed
way
first.
Earlier.
This is OG Trek right here. This is Gene Roddenberry still alive.
And actually, even before that, we know that TOS likes to play fast and loose with some time travel shenanigans.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is Guardian of or City on the Edge of Forever.
Gary 7.
Yeah, Gary 7. Yeah,
which is still somehow one of the worst rated Star Trek episodes for some reason, and I don't understand why. I think it's ridiculously and cack and charming.
I can see both sides. I'll
I mean,
put
it's
it that
not very
way.
Star Trek for sure. But who can't love Terry Garr? I mean, come on.
No. Yes, absolutely.
You've got no soul or no eyes, one of the two.
Hello. Would you like to have a roll in the hay?
Or both.
All right, guys. Well, let us know if you think that Ian persuaded you that...
The resurrection of Spock
yes.
is the worst thing Trek ever did.
Yes, let us know on the comments if you think that is the case. And actually, if you don't think it is, tell us what you think actually is the largest mistake. And please don't be derivative and be like, it's been like the Academy or something. Because I've heard it all before and I'm bored with it.
Yeah.
Tell us something fun or interesting or new, or...
Get the fuck out.
Or you give us a like or whatever and just smile and nod and move on with your day. And make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and all that frackin' jazz.
Yeah, absolutely. And stay tuned for our next video when Sven reveals what he thinks the worst mistake Trek ever made was.
It's fun.